Leeds United made a bit of a name for themselves last night by going to Old Trafford and not being beaten. Managerless Leeds United. They did all right. They take a point there after Manchester United fought back from 2 goals down. You know, Simon, before we talk about the managerial situation, does it show there's enough in this Leeds squad that, they'll survive in the Premier League?
No, it shows you that with something we've all known, that the Leeds side are a very decent side. It also shows you that the Man United aren't as good as people think they are. But also, it shows you that Leeds have the not one person, not me or any other critics of Leeds United or any criticism that we've put against them, have suggested this group of players aren't good enough. That's not come out of my mouth. We've talked about Everton players not doing it. We've talked about Southampton players and we've talked about Bournemouth. But none of us have said Leeds United aren't good enough. We've said that the coach that's leading them and giving them the structure and the basis from which they can launch off to win games wasn't good enough. So it doesn't surprise me that at this moment in time, they've been able to get a result against a team that will have come on to Leeds, think they can beat Leeds, and given Leeds an opportunity to be able to play the way they wanted to. So, listen, the bottom line is United got back in the game, scored 2 goals to bring themselves back into it, and for 60 minutes of that game, you know, Leeds were the better side.
Yeah. Might well be that Michael Scubala and Chris Armas put themselves in the box seat.
No.
I mean, now we know that Rayo Vallecano are saying no to any Leeds approach for their man, Andoni Iraola, as we were talking about yesterday. He became the favourite yesterday. Well, now it's think again Leeds United, because apparently he's now saying in Spain that he's not going to be leaving. So back to square one.
Well, maybe.
If Scubala and Armas had taken Leeds Old Trafford last night and get thumped 6, then but they didn't.
No, but this is a moment in time that, like, the irony of it is, it's a no manager bounce. Fine, okay, but it's the same voices being given a different opportunity to be able to express themselves. This is the same group of coaching staff that worked with Jesse March, and maybe their voices weren't heard. And maybe at this moment in time, there's just a bounce reaction from the Leeds United. It was a free hit. And to some extent, I concur with Danny Murphy saying it's a free hit, because there was no expectation. It's much easier to play when there's no expectation. They're not at Ellen Road. They're at Old Trafford. They were being perceived as potentially on the end of a tonking, and they were not. And so it gave them a freedom. Now, when that tightens up a little bit and the expectation creeps back in, and there's a sentiment of how do we deal with the more difficult issues than being 2-0 up at Manchester United, when we've got teams that won't play like Man United did, that will bank up against us, make it more difficult for us, then we will see that Leeds United need a different direction than assistant managers and coaches that are assistant managers and coaches for a reason.
Right. What we are seeing now, Simon, is that when a Premier League club loses a manager, or a manager at a Premier League club is sacked, other clubs who think they're going to come calling for their manager close ranks and shut them out. So West Brom, West Brom got a hold of Corberon, and he has signed an extension to his deal. So you've got no luck there. Iraola's going to stay with Rayo Vallecano. You wonder where they're going to look to next.
Well, you'd like to think that, you know, if the only strategy you've got in a boxing match is to go into the first round, knock somebody out, and if that doesn't work, you've got no other strategy, then you're going to be in a bit of a trouble as a boxer. So I'm assuming in the football alternative, they didn't have just one hit. It wasn't just one manager. It might have been the preferred choice.
Right.
And they must have given themselves some indication. Now, we've seen this managers playing hide and seek with themselves. We've seen Unai Emery not being available to leave and then leaving at a different time. So, you know, you find yourself in a situation where just because someone has ruled themselves out, they suddenly rule themselves back in with a different conversation. We had that with Lopetegui at Wolves. We've had it with Antonio Conte at Tottenham. We've had it with Unai Emery when he was approached by Newcastle, put back in his seat by their Villarreal owner, and then ends up going to Aston Villa. So whilst the timing is slightly different, there's a gap between these two things. You know, Leeds United is a huge draw. It's, you know, I know that Vallecano are in Madrid, but they're a peripheral side. They're 5th in the league. It's a huge opportunity with Leeds United in the biggest league. Radrazani's got to get his big boys' pants on and sell it. And if it isn't this guy, then it'll be someone else. But I would be very, very surprised, given what's at stake here with Leeds United. Premiership survival, potential disposal of a football club. They're going to sort of muck about with, maybe we'll take a punt on some backroom staff that managed to get us a 2-2 draw. I mean, United did that once. What did they do? They played PSG in the Champions League. They got a great win away from home and took Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for 3 years and went backwards.
Sure. This
team can't go backwards, because meaning going backwards in the Premier League in this instance means going to the Championship. And that will kibosh a whole raft of things at Leeds United way beyond just an individual place in the Premier League.
A lot of people are saying they've got to get on with it, Leeds. I mean, there's a Leeds fan saying, guys, I don't know if you agree, we've got to stop messing about. Get Ange Postecoglou out of Celtic. Great challenge for him. It'd be a great job for him. I'm not so sure. I think Postecoglou is very happy staying in Glasgow and getting on with the job in hand at what is a giant of a football club.
I think Postecoglou will come into play, but I think the timing for him is not right.
Yeah.
I think he's still got some work to do at Celtic, and we'll feel that he's got some work to do at Celtic. And Celtic took a risk with him, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's worked.
And it's worked. And
actually, Kevin Muscat told me it will work. Don't be in any doubt.
And I thought it would work. And Gordon Strachan said the same thing.
Yeah.
And we all thought it would work, and so it has. But he will also remember that he was given an opportunity, and some loyalty comes into play there.
I want to throw this in just before we go to the break. And many Leeds fans will say, oh, it's not worth mentioning. But it is. Some Leeds fans last night, Simon, baiting Rashford and Sancho for letting their country down. Chants about the missed penalties at Euro 2020. When are they going to give that up?
Well, when it stops affecting, when they think it stops affecting people.
Yeah,
right?
it's a bit sad.
And what you do is you what Marcus Rashford do and Sancho do, go bang, goal, bang, goal. Thanks very much. Jeer us some more. Right?
Yes.
So the next time the Leeds United fans want to do that, maybe they'll think twice about it. The first thing you don't do is you don't do the Sol Campbell thing, which is react to people. And the second thing is you go and prove it on the pitch. End of discussion. You know, it's not nice, is it? It's not nice if you're a manager in a dugout with a bunch of Herberts going, you're getting sacked in the morning, right? None of it's nice.
Yeah.
And it's not going to change because that's the nature of the edge that football brings. And some of it's funny, some of it's cruel. But the players themselves will look in their pay packets, look at their achievements on the pitch and go, and really?
Yeah. But also
they should.
These are England fans who are having a pop at their own players.
Yeah. But they're England fans reverting to their primary relationship, which is with their football club. They're England fans when we're playing for an England team, but their job as football fans is to make an environment that's very, very intimidating for the opposition to play in.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're playing at Old Trafford, that necessarily isn't going to be the case.
Yeah.
But the Leeds fans did that, and then now look what they got from it.
Intimidating stroke pathetic.
A little bit, yeah.
Just gone 10:15.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.